Hello, Benjies. Welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, and I'm one of your co-hosts. And I have three illustrious co-hosts with me. My first co-host, well, she's an actress. She's a writer. She's a director. Every week, I have to let her know she's just a flat-out superstar. Miss Courtney Scott Wright. Say what's up to the people.
Hello, hello.
All right. And this next guy, he is a game designer. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's part owner of the Geekish Network. Chuck, say what's up to the people, bruh.
What's up, people? What's up?
And this next guy, you know, he's an educator. He's an orator. He's a technologist. And he's just one cool ass dude. Rakai, say what's up to the people, bruh.
Hello, Governor.
And we are the BingeWorthy podcast. The premise of our show is that every week we will binge watch a television series. And then we come right here to the BingeWorthy podcast to talk about that series. At the beginning, we will rate it using our unique BingeWorthy scale. Then we engage in conversation. We talk about the plots, we talk about the things, the acting quality, the full spectrum of that show. And at the end, we will re-rate it. Sometimes our co-hosts can influence us to change our original rating. Sometimes they may influence us to lift it up. And at other times, they just drag that shit all the way down to the floor. Now, speaking of our binge-worthy scale, it is as followed. At a number 5 is what we call a full binge out. That means that this property is a can't miss. It is outstanding. It is stellar. You will definitely have to watch it. At a number 4 is what we call a full meal. A full meal is very good. It is not quite a full binge out, but you definitely want to invest time in watching this. At a number 3 is what we call a mini meal. A mini meal is just, you know, Courtney calls it a TV dinner, a bland ass TV dinner, and I say without all that Lyris seasoning sprinkled in. And a number 2 is what we call a snack, or we've colloquially renamed it Cheeto fingers, right? It's just something that you eat because you don't have anything else in the house and you're too lazy to go anywhere. So, you know, you're going to count them, get them Cheetos fingers. And at a number 1 is what we call a cringe worthy. And that just means this is some old bullshit. And we have one of our co-hosts that we always ask, why did you recommend that we watch this? But I'm not going to disclose his name, Chuck. I'm not going to disclose his name or why we asked him, did we watch this? So, speaking of our rating, we're going to jump right in here. And I'm going to start with you, Miss Courtney Scott Wright. How are you going to rate Wednesday?
I'm muted. Sorry.
Okay, I couldn't hear.
I was really reluctant to watch this because I'm such a big Addams Family fan. And I was like, oh man, they're gonna mess this up. I don't want to watch it. Oh, but I started it and I was pleasantly surprised. There were only we'll talk about this a little bit more. There was only a couple of things that I, would nitpick. But for the most part, I definitely felt like it definitely for me was binge worthy because I full on binged it. I really loved Jenna Ortega. I thought that she was a wonderful Wednesday. I was a similar, kind of like what Rakai said about her in the crosstalk. I was not expecting her to be good, in terms of this character. It's such an iconic thing that Christina Ricci really kind of slayed. And I was like, oh, and to see her actually in it was also fun. So yeah, it for me is definitely binge worthy.
Binge worthy? Okay. All right. I'm going to jump in here next. Like Courtney, I'm an Addams Family fan, and I'm going to ask everybody a little later, what was your history with the Addams Family? And I literally binged watched this on Thanksgiving. After all the festivities died down, me and some relatives, Chuck's in there, his brother, and his brother's daughter, we literally sat and we watched it all the way through, beginning at about 8 o'clock, and I think we finished at like 3 o'clock in the morning. We thugged our way through this whole thing. His brother was getting sleepy. We were like, nah, you stand up, bro. We going through this. And one of the things that I enjoyed about it, to echo what Courtney and Rakai said, was the performance of Jenna Ortega. I thought as Wednesday, she absolutely murdered it. She understood the mission, she understood the design, and she executed. I also enjoyed the cast of characters that she had along with her during this journey. And the Addams Family, it took a jump into the supernatural. Like, we know that family is dark and quirky, but they really pushed the envelope with this one. And I was all for it. Now, with that being said, there were some things that stood out to me that I could have seen them do a little bit better. And among those were the visual design of some of the monsters and the adventures. I thought the special effects was kind of just mid-level. And for me, that brought it down a little bit. And while I love the snappy dialogue of Wednesday and Jenna Ortega, some of the writing I found it was a little too familiar with already established tropes, YA tropes. I like YA, and that's not a problem, but I thought it was just a little too in line with that. I could almost see them saying, okay, we want to get the Harry Potter crowd. We want to get the Twilight crowd. What's his name? That wig show, Savannah? No, whatever.
Sabrina.
Yeah, Sabrina, it's going off. We need something to replace it. So to me, I felt as though it was fitting into those tropes just a little bit too heavily for me. And it brought it down slightly. I was on the verge, was like, where do I rate this? Is it a 4 mil? Is it a 4 binge out? And for those reasons that I just named, I had to bring it down just a little bit. Now, with that being said, I want everybody to watch this because we need a season 2. And some of the problems maybe that I had with some of the visuals, I definitely think they were maybe budgetary and can be fixed if they renew this series. So I want everybody to watch it. I thought it was a great, fun, high octane ride. So I'm going to give it a very high, satisfying 4 mil. I really enjoyed what I saw. All right. And now I'm going to jump over to you, Ricardo, and Chuck, bring us on home.
What you said a lot. show, in light of what's been said, I did absolutely enjoy Jenna Ortega. And I thought one of the biggest differences between Jenna Ortega and Christina Ricci's portrayal of Wednesday was that I think if they had done a show that wasn't the Addams Family and a show that was all about Wednesday, I think Christina Ricci would have ate. She would have ate. But that wasn't the purview. That wasn't the focus of the earlier show. So to make an entire show about that, Jenna Ortega really embodied this character and did a fantastic job. Um, it was wonderful to see the original Wednesday in this. I thought that was fantastic casting. Um, I do agree with you wholeheartedly on some of the special effects. Very meh. Very the hide. Get it out of here.
Yeah.
Stop it. That was just terrible. And I think while the dialogue, Wednesday's dialogue was on point, always. I think some of the writing was weaker for some of the other characters. And as much as when I listened to our discussion last week about Andor being too talky, I think that this series could have been maybe trimmed an episode or two. I think it could have been around 6 or 7 episodes and been perfect. So for that, I'm gonna go with a very high full meal. I didn't quite binge it. I watched like 2 episodes, then 3 episodes, then 3 episodes or something like that. But I did love all of it, and I did watch it with one of my kids. So yeah, it was great. But yeah, very 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 good high meal, full meal.
All right. Jock, bring us on home, bro. How are you going to rate Wednesday?
Man, y'all must not know Jenna Ortega's pedigree. I didn't have any doubts of her being Wednesday. When she showed up on screen as Wednesday Addams, I said, yes, they got the perfect person to be Wednesday Addams. I thought when I first saw her on screen, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Tim Burton really went all out to find her. And he found her. He went out and found her. She was doing another movie. He called her up and was like, look, I need to talk to you tomorrow about a movie I'm trying to do, a TV show I'm trying to do with Netflix. I'm giving it a full meal. And a lot has to do with what Rakai said about the writing. The visual effects, I was kind of okay. They were CW grade. They were television grade visual effects. I thought Hyde could have looked better. He looked kind of cartoony. The shadow work wasn't as strong on him. And I wish it was stronger, but it wasn't. And we live in a world of Marvel and Star Wars now, and their visual effects are great. They're so great that them trying to make She-Hulk cartoony more cartoony and add a texture shader on her didn't work so well. But I like the snappy dialogue. They could have had stronger dialogue for some of the other characters. They made her too ready for quips. She had a lot of quips, and nobody else had anything for her. She was like undefeated. She's undefeated of who she was. And I wish she would have took a couple of losses. Cause in really good YA, the main character takes hard losses. And I thought her losses were like, I love YA dramas. I watch a lot of YA. And so for me to see, I was like, but I give it a full meal. Okay. I think it's worthy of a season 2. It's almost a full binge out to me. I'm like right there at the ceiling. Maybe this discussion will knock it to a full binge out, but I loved all the characters. I thought all of them were different. All of them have voices. I just thought their dialogue to snap back. Nobody really snapped back at her, and that's what I wanted.
Okay, so you're giving it a full meal?
Uh-huh.
All right, we got so that gives us a cumulative score of 4.25. That's right there at full meal. All right, so we're gonna start with you, Courtney. We've talked about Jenna Ortega's performance as Wednesday. We've all agreed that it is outstanding. What do you think about the acting quality of the overall cast outside of Jenna?
I thought everybody understood their characters and delivered the pieces that they were given. in terms of like what Chuck just said about Wednesday coming back with quips, like always having those things and nobody being able to take her down. In every iteration of the Addams family, Wednesday comes with quips and she is undefeated. She is undefeated in every iteration. And whether it's animated, whether it's the old school original Addams family, or whether it's the movies with Christina Ricci. So I would expect nothing less. If anybody slayed her, it would have been Morticia. Anybody other than
Exactly.
Morticia slaying her, then I'm not there for that. Because it's uncharacteristic, because Wednesday is the undefeated Olympic champion of snipe. So like that issue, and Morticia, like, I love the fact that what Catherine Zeta-Jones, this was a different role for her. And I love that they played up the mother-daughter issues, because that is a huge trope, especially in the teenage years, that doesn't get enough. Like, usually if you get it, it's like this high drama, angsty, like heated, mom, I hate you, you don't understand me, all this kind of nonsense, as opposed to it just being, I'm floundering in your shadow. Do you know what I mean? Like, you brought me to this school where you were the queen of everything. What am I supposed to achieve on my own, you know? And not from this like perspective of anger. It's just a statement of fact. And I respected that. I thought she was great. I loved the relationship she built with each one of the characters for the different reasons that every single actor that was against her brought something special, brought a different quality than she was used to, and B, knew how to deal with, and they affected her. I loved seeing her affected. Like, that's what, like, those were, for me, like, those were her losses. Seeing Wednesday affected, that is her loss, because Wednesday is never affected by anything. And so to see these people reach her, that's the moment. And I thought that everybody in the cast brought something unique and helped her grow by the end of that series.
Cool. All right. One of the cool things about attending the show while it's live is that you get to interact with us via the chat. So type in comments in the chat. We will respond to them. And Mark says, Brianna of Tar, she looked good in this series. I was taken aback.
Gwendolyn Christie.
I have ever seen her. Like, because even in Dream, like she played Lucifer, and she was
bad as hell in Lucifer. Like, she was sexy.
I didn't think so. I thought she was just cool.
I thought she was hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. But this, I thought, she was kind of in her feminine ways.
But I agree with you, Mark. She did look beautiful in this. Yeah, I thought she was stunning in this. Yeah.
Classy.
Rakai, what'd you say?
I thought she was very classy in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she looked good. Rakai, I framed the writing of the series into two categories. It was the dialogue and the plot. What did you think of the overall quality of the writing? Let us know the dialogue and the plot. Did you find a difference in there? The same? Bad? What about the writing?
Being a fan of the Addams family as well, Courtney was absolutely right. There is no one. I mean, they need to have a medal higher than the Olympic gold for Wednesday and her snipes.
Yep.
She is undefeated. She is the. I didn't see anything wrong with her cattiness or her snipes, just because I think by her being, in this show they called her outcast. By her being an outcast and being who she was all life, like when they did a little montage where she talked about her birthdays, and they show, her birthday cakes and the piñata with the spiders in it.
It was hilarious.
Hell up. Oh my God. And then when she let them crawl all over, I was like, I can't imagine being in school with her. Like, but just for other kids to try to deal with Wednesday, I bet she did have them ready, cocked and loaded and ready for that ass all of her life.
Violence all the time.
Yes.
She was tooled up all the time.
Yes, like, yeah, she was ready. Just like, I'm saying, a top level comedian. She was ready. She wanted all the smoke.
All of it.
and I thought it was fantastic. I think I was surprised at the way that Catherine Zeta-Jones played the part like that. I really actually enjoyed it. I didn't know. I thought that she would look good as, she's a good looking lady, so I thought she would look good as Morticia. But when you've had, other people play the part, and you make the comparison. But I thought that the way that she played it, and even I think that she kind of downplayed it, was a little bit more subtle with the overall Morticia-ness that we've seen before. I thought she was great. I think the writing failed where some of the characters were reduced to 1 and 2 lines that didn't really move their character, and everything was in relation to Wednesday. So it's almost like all of their reactions were just that, were purely reactions. Like they didn't have any real volume to their character. The plot was good. She took some losses. I don't know. It became predictable YA for a while, where I thought I had it figured out, and then I was wrong, but then I figured I was right, but then I figured I was only half right. So yeah, it was weird. And like I said, they could have probably took out a few parts and trimmed it down just a little bit. But yeah, I think the writing for Wednesday was super strong, and I just wish that the writing for a lot of the other characters had been as strong. Like even her main antagonist to have been Bianca Belair, no, not Bianca Belair. It's like a wrestler or something. Whatever his name,
It's
Bianca
Bill.
the Siren.
Yeah, I got her
Uh,
name here.
Yeah, Bianca,
Yeah.
whose name was Brandy Lee.
Bianca Barclay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Barclay, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bianca Belair is like a WWE wrestler, but Bianca, the Siren, I think her writing should have been stronger. If she was going to be an antagonist and there was going to be a real juxtaposition with, I'm the queen bee and you're coming trying, not necessarily trying to take my spot, but knock me down a peg, I think her writing should have been stronger. I think really they could have played that up a little bit more, even in the midst of her solving the mystery. So
Okay. All right, Chuck, man. In our pilot episode, Wednesday, she's been kicked out of school after throwing piranhas in the school pool. I thought that was hilarious.
let me just say, one of the strongest openings to a show of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The best opening to a show of all time.
And so she's forced to attend Nevermore Academy, her parents' alma mater. Courtney talked a little bit about it, living in the shadow of her super famous mother. Wednesday is an outcast amongst outcasts in a school for outcasts. So this is the pilot episode where we learn out of this. How do you think the pilot did in setting the tone for the show and what we were going to see?
I thought the opening episode was great. I think it set the tone well. It set the tone who she was. I think the piranhas in the pool was great. Like it let her know that when in her high school she was the terrorist. Like nobody can mess with me in my school. And I think when she went to Nevermore and her and Bianca Barclay got into the fencing fight, like you're a badass, but I'm also a badass. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that fencing match with words as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect Wednesday to have quips all the time, but she's in an ensemble cast when she's in normal Addams Family stuff. She's 1 of 5. If this one is all about her, so I expect her to get some lumps on her. Like she was like undefeated rapper in a rap battle,
It's
and
50 Cent, like in the early 2000s.
like it's undefeated. It's undefeated. And I like to see somebody push back on that where you're like, ooh, she may have met her match.
Were they at least
know?
one round or something?
Just a one round. They can keep going back and forth. She can come out victorious, but people just to lose a little bit. And I thought the pilot set her up as the awkward kid that found oh, I'm not in prison with you. You're in prison with me.
I thought the same line when Raquel was talking earlier.
Yeah, you're in prison with me. It's the same thing as what's his name said in The Watchmen. I'm not in here with y'all. Y'all in here with me. But, and I think that's it. It's like the Joker being in Arkham. Arkham is home for the Joker. And I felt like she was like, I'm at home. But I want to...
Oh, no. Well, so I was just going to jump in terms of, first of all, I thought the pilot was fantastic. For a YA, for a YA pilot, it was hands down one of the best YA pilots I've seen, because talking about Sabrina, talking about like all of those other ones that, like even the Nancy Drew one, which was terrible, like talking about all those that are in the same line as this series, this hands down, that was the best pilot. And it had me from beginning to end. I thought the setup was brilliant. But in terms of like her opening move, I guess for me, like being the older sister to a younger brother, Wednesday wasn't like, she was, of course, she was awkward and different, and everybody else knew it, and everybody knew it. But the thing is, she didn't care, and she didn't come out swinging, because she had been at that school for a little while. I think that was the longest she had last up until she went to Nevermore. She didn't do anything outside of the normal until they messed with her brother. So it wasn't like, you're in here with me. It's like, you are gonna feel my wrath, because it's like she said, I can torture my brother all day long. No one else can.
Yeah, I'm talking about when she went to Nevermore. She was
I was talking about the other school,
no,
like in terms of like that
school.
energy, like that school. It was like they were beneath her to even come.
Not only
that was her eighth
the
school.
opening moment when she walked in and you saw her walking down the hallway.
And everybody was staring at her. Like,
the hallway parted like the Red Sea.
Yeah.
Down the hallway.
I felt she was like Who Wanted with Hollywood Cole. Like she was walking down the hallways, and they knew from past experience not to mess with her.
Yeah, they knew. I mean, you can look at somebody and know that they're not right. And no, I don't want any of that. Like, that's the thing, is that like going into Nevermore, in my opinion, like, even though you got the sirens, you got the werewolves, you got the vampires, you got like all the things that represent, you even got a Gorgon. You know what I mean? Like, like all the demographics of special hybrid children are represented. And they look at this girl who, to the unassuming eye, literally had no powers at all.
Right.
And everybody understood she wasn't right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they respect.
Well, they had to make a special uniform for her too.
Yeah. They had a special, because she wasn't wearing blue.
She wasn't wearing those colors. She's like, I'm not wearing colors.
Yeah.
Mark says in the chat, he said that was one of the best pilots I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is one of the best pilots.
Hands down. Let me throw something to you guys real quick. You guys have been talking about Bianca being her foil. I thought Enid was her foil in matching quips and intensities, just in a different level. So when she got kicked, before she left, they went toe to toe, and I'm not sure that Wednesday buried her there. So as somebody giving her some pushback, I thought Enid was there for her to give her all that smoke
from the very beginning. From the moment she met her, she was not intimidated, because here's
not
Enid.
At all.
She's used to being the runt of the family. She's used to being different. She had to find her own power because she hadn't wolfed out yet. So she had to get confidence and know who she was. They were like yin and yang. And it was like perfect.
And
it was her perfect match.
Yeah, that shot when the sun comes in is one side that's dark and is one side that's really bright. I thought that was a great decision.
Yeah. But I thought Enid was her foil, but she was like the sympathy foil. Like, I'm being human here. I'm being a complete human, and you're a monster. Wednesday, you are a monster. I've been a human with you. I'm trying to show you love, and here it is. You're just being a total monster. You've been an asshole to everybody.
See, I never thought of Enid as a foil at all. I thought of her and Enid as like
matched
a buddy cop movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like those two, people who are completely opposite, the odd couple. And
but they become the best of friends. Like the odd couple, like they balance each other.
But isn't that out of respect though?
Yeah.
No, I think it's out of confidence, equality. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's out of respect. They both respect each other. It's not. It's one of equals.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Enid didn't cower under her, but Enid was like one of those people where she looked at her clan and she's like, "Yeah, they're a wild bunch. Like the werewolves are wild. They're howling and everything." And she's like, "I'm not like them." And she couldn't even transform into a werewolf. So, you felt for her. I loved Enid. Enid was one of my favorite characters.
I loved her. I thought she was so lovely.
Yeah,
but talk about a loss. Like, I thought it was very smart writing that they didn't have Wednesday defeat Bianca.
Yes.
Because when she didn't win, I was like, oh, like that was unexpected. Because here I was, she came in hard with all her talk and all her
And all
flips
black.
and all kinds of things and
It was
all.
like,
I
let's
mean,
take
she
off the
came in
tips.
ready to do. Yeah, it was her suggestion, and then Bianca drew first blood. But I also think Bianca's a lot older than 16. But yeah, I thought that here's the thing. I liked that Bianca wasn't written to be this overpowering villainous character, because they always do that to the black woman. If you set a black female character against the white lead, she's always the dark-hearted villain, and she's always coming in with some petty ass bullshit reason. And I loved the fact that Bianca played it like she was the queen bee, but she also recognized game. She recognizes and respected Wednesday and respected herself. Like when he came, when the little boy Xavier came to her and was like, "Yo, I want you to like make me forget. You want me to make you forget when you here on a date? You want me to make you forget about another girl when you're on a date with me?
Yeah,
Boy,
I love
bye.
that scene.
You need to do that.
thought
Go
Bianca was
somewhere."
On top
she
of the
was
fact
super
that
cool.
he broke up with her because he said he couldn't trust her because he thought that her siren song was manipulating him any day.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I thought
And
she
that
had so
only-
much
only-
character.
Yeah, I
I-
just thought Bianca was just a super dope person. I
Yeah,
didn't see her
like-
as
like-
being bad, because even if we see her at the fencing thing, she's not berating him. She's
No.
competitive. She's like, "You're good. You're just lazy. Get up off
Yeah.
your ass and push
Yeah,
yourself."
yeah.
She wasn't a
not.
bully.
She was not
at
a
all.
bully. I
Not
thought
at
she
all.
knew she was the queen bee and that was her kingdom. And this other upstart girl comes in here and says, the first thing you do when you walk into a prison, you fight the biggest motherfucker in there.
Right.
And she walked right over to Bianca to fight him. Bianca's like, you really don't want this. Because Bianca was like, chill out. We
Yeah,
don't have to do
that's
this.
fair.
Yeah, I
I will
can imagine,
embarrass you out here. Calm.
like every
just
black
say,
person
"I
in
wanna
America,
challenge
like
Wednesday.
if you want to
Wednesday
take
said, "I
it
wanna
there,
challenge
we
you."
can go there.
Yeah.
We can go there if you really
Yeah.
want it, right?
You really want it.
You're not the only one that woke up this morning and chose violence.
Exactly. You're not
Like
the
the
only
professor
one,
looked at
sis.
Bianca and was like, it's your choice.
I
Bianca looked at
accepted the
professor and
mission.
was like,
Right.
does
Make
this girl
your
know who she's
move,
dealing with?
Here's the thing, though.
Beyonce up in here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought this up, Courtney, because I read something, an article within the last week where there was a lot of talk about racism in this series, and for exactly the point that you said. And they said, especially with Tim Burton, that he has this disdain for black characters and he writes them in such a way, always to make them the bully or whatever. Like he doesn't, it is said that he doesn't have a lot of love for black characters, and that he wrote, not only Bianca, but the mayor's son as the bullies. And I was like, I think anybody who says that, I was like,
Y'all didn't watch the show. You didn't watch the show.
You didn't watch it at all.
I read that same
I was
article.
like, I thought the way that Bianca was written was very well, because I never saw her as the bully. She was the queen bee. I mean, how much more respect? She runs the school. How much more respect can you
She's
give her
dope.
character? And then not only that, she was protecting her kingdom. She was protecting her thing from the new girl. But then not only that,
from beginning to end.
But the
From beginning to
transformation of
end.
her own character and her recognizing her own power, the whole scene, the whole thing with her mom,
Yeah.
even warming up to the little black boy who kind of warmed up to Enid. He kind of started having some different feelings. Like I thought the way they could have done a little bit more with his character, and they didn't flush him out enough. But I think in the way that they wrote Enid and the way that they even made him transform a little bit, I was like, I don't see.
I liked him. I think they
I
wrote
liked him.
well.
He
He was like, he tried to stop his friends. He was like, yo, y'all need to chill out. Leave
but he
them
changed
alone.
his mind.
Yeah,
It was
changed
his
mind.
idea, and then he realized he didn't
He
understand.
really liked Enid. He was like, they're
Yeah.
not bad people.
Mackish with Bianca. I was
Because
like,
we
go ahead.
had things in common.
Then he came back with Bianca. and I was
Yeah,
like,
when he came back,
I
Bianca,
respected
was like,
that
"You
too.
all
I was like,
Tim,
black
I see you
love
playing.
Trying
always
to fight
wins.
for her. He was
Black
like, he just
love
liked her as a
wins.
person. He liked
Yeah.
Enid as a
Yeah,
girl,
like
but
that.
he liked Bianca. And
Yeah.
I respected that.
Mm-hmm.
I respected that, after his dad died, he came to Wednesday. Like even Bianca found common ground with Wednesday. But in the end, Bianca knew Wednesday was going too far.
Yes,
And she
everybody
went back
did.
and she she was like, yo, I'm here with you, but I'm not here for this.
Right.
And
And
so
they
like
all
then
felt
she
that way,
left.
They
right?
all felt that
And
way.
they
Wednesday
all
knew
felt-
it. Wednesday
they
knew
all
she was
stood
going
up.
too
She's
far.
so selfish and
Yeah,
self-absorbed.
she was
Like you're
going
a
too far.
self-absorbed human being.
Like I
But
just want to win. Like I'm going to
Mhm.
prove this. She wasn't wrong. She just didn't have the time,
so,
and he was not going to give in anyway.
No.
so let's jump to another character that I really enjoyed. And I'm gonna start with you, Rakai. Thing. I love everything about Thing. It was a character who literally had no facial expressions, right? And he communicated so well. I thought we talked about the monsters. I thought they weren't that well, but I thought Thing was drawn perfectly. So I'm looking for, what are your thoughts on Thing in the show?
I think the special effects for Thing and the way that, I don't know if they just, did green screen on a sleeve or something on someone's hand or what have you, but the way that Thing was portrayed in the show was really strong. And it's funny, you're right. It's like for a character with no actual speaking lines, no face, Thing was one of the most important characters in the whole thing. Like, because I think, Wednesday talked to him a lot, but I don't know, it's like a telepathic thing. And then it was sometimes where he would actually do sign language. And I was like, okay, that's interesting because I just don't remember if I ever saw Thing do sign language anymore before that. I don't know. I really enjoyed Thing. I also enjoyed when Thing was killed and you saw that different side of Wednesday. Like, Wednesday comes off as she doesn't give a shit about anybody or whatever. Especially like, Xavier said to her, you don't give a shit about anybody. You'll do whatever to solve your little crime. You'll manipulate whoever. But when it came to Thing, listen, she broke all the way down. And then even chastised him. If you die on me, I will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
anybody freaking out about when they thought Thing might die? Did anybody think? Because I was
I
freaking out.
was. I was like, you can't
I
kill
didn't think he was gonna
Thing.
die.
I was like,
Yeah,
Thing doesn't die.
like,
It's a
they can't kill
hand.
Thing. They can't kill Thing. Hell no.
Yeah, I was hoping that, but I was
And-
worried. I swear, I was freaking out. And in the chat, Catherine said it was an actor wearing
Victor.
a blue suit, but the hand had all the prosthetics. Oh,
Yes. It was an actor.
Wait, what? It was an actor that
Victor
what?
Dorobantu is the actor for Thing.
yeah, he was wearing a blue suit, but the
Blue
hand
suit.
had
Mhm.
all the prosthetics.
Yeah.
Because he was cut up. Things lived a interesting life, I bet. Because there's a lot of war wounds that he was.
There's a number of stories of Thing. Some people say Thing is the hand of Frankenstein's monster. Like he's the Adam family took the hand and kept the hand and brought it to life.
Which is interesting because he needed electricity to be brought back to life. So
it is really interesting.
Can do the.
Oh my gosh! Can we talk about Fred Armisen
My
for
next
a second?
person, we'll start with you. We'll start with you then, Courtney. Kick it off.
So Fred Armisen, when he found out that Tim Burton wanted him to play Uncle Fester, he showed up on set bald, and Tim Burton was like, he was only there. You're only supposed to be here for a day. Like you didn't have to shave your head. He was like, no, I get to be Uncle Fester. I'm gonna shave my head. I'm going all the way.
Yeah.
And for having one episode, he stole so much focus for me. Like he was brilliant. I didn't know I needed him to be Uncle Fester until he was Uncle Fester. And he was just wonderful. Like I loved his relationship with Wednesday. I loved his relationship with him and Thing. And the fact that they were robbing banks together. Like that was powerful. Like I can't.
Hey man, Uncle Fester was
the cow. The cow motorcycle he stole. And
Magneto. It was amazing.
And he was like, what's the fun in that? Like he said, you should find something less inconspicuous. And he like, what's the fun in that?
Yo, when she did Kung Fu.
How about when he was trying to eat the bees?
When she did Kung Fu in the coffee shop. And they're like, where you learn that from? And she was like, my uncle. And when you meet the uncle, you're like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
it makes total sense.
Yep.
On the fact that I love how every time you turn you blink, he's gone.
He's gone.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, Uncle Fester. Yeah, he understood the actor playing it and the role playing it. Understood the mission and over. man.
And Uncle Fester's always been an interesting character. One minute he's kin to Morticia. Next minute they made him the brother of Gomez, and I said that's brilliant. I even like Louis as Gomez. Louis Guzman as Gomez. I was like, this is the original Gomez. They didn't try to make the suave, cool Gomez. They made the real Gomez comic strip Gomez, and I was like, you nailed it with that.
And you see the person that Morticia would have been attracted to.
Yeah, you saw him. He was suave and nice, handsome when he was younger.
Right.
He just got old.
Yeah.
And
So
they're still mad in love with each other.
The only thing I didn't really, the younger version of him, I was a little concerned that he was the same height as the Morticia that they cast. I thought he should. I'm like, okay, I can go with it. The Morticia had a growth spurt, but like, I was like,
yeah. When they did that one flashback scene,
that was a little off. Again, it didn't really matter to me. But the one, and this is what I mentioned earlier, my nitpick, the one character that I think that they did not get 100%, that I think that they got at like maybe 72% was Pugsley.
Really?
Pugsley was completely wrong. There is no way on anybody's earth that Pugsley would have let somebody A, put him in a locker, and B, had sad feelings about it. Pugsley was a little bit too depressed, a little bit too emo to be like, and you know, I get that we want Wednesday to be like the badass big sister, and I totally respect that because she absolutely would have done that. But if once she got him out of the locker, he'd have been, where are we? But let me at him. You know what I mean? Like something really, like he'd have had his own kill plan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He would have killed him, and they would have both been expelled. There's no way that just Wednesday would have been expelled. And Pugsley, when he was sitting on the, because Pugsley does have he was sitting on the dock with her. Like, he has a fetish for like explosives and stuff like that. But when he was like, I'm, worried about Dad, he would have broke Dad out before he would have sat there on that dock. Are you kidding? Like, that was the only character that I thought they didn't do well.
I wondered that, but I think Tim Burton based it on the 1938 comics of Charles Adams.
Okay.
And I don't know what the comics are. I know from the series.
Pugsley's a simple kid in the back. Wednesday's the dark one. He's like the quiet, normal, everyday kid that's kind of shy and sheepish.
Oh, okay, that's helpful. That's helpful because I
think that's what because they haven't brought Aristotle in yet neither, and I'm curious about how they're gonna do Aristotle.
Who is Aristotle?
The octopus.
Oh, the octopus.
Yeah.
Well, let's like Cousin It isn't in it. We didn't see.
They showed him though. They showed him. He was on the safe.
Okay. Yeah.
He was in the Nevershade. He was in the Nevershade secret room, and it was his photo that was on the safe that they had to that Fester had to move.
Yeah. Mark said the 1938 one was a little bit before my time. And originally I found out Gormaz didn't have a name. When they first created it, he had a picture. His name was not Gormaz.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I know that.
It was later that he actually got the name that. Okay,
I can see
so let's put it in. Chuck, let's go with you.
Interesting that people, the internet doing what the internet does. That people are up in arms that they cast Louis Guzman as
Gomez.
As a character named Gomez.
It didn't dawn on me until he was cast as Gomez.
But the fact that they said no, we want the other one back, not realizing that his name is Raul Julia.
Right.
And he's dead.
Yes.
But I'm saying
but he's still Latinx, right? It's these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're stupid.
I think people were mad because Gomez wasn't suave and sexy. He wasn't Ricky Ricardo from I Love Lucy.
Right. But he was still super suave. He maybe he wasn't sexy to them.
He was gross.
But I thought he brought a perfect energy. And it was opposite. This was a show of opposites. And I thought that he played the opposites very well. Like from the relationship that Wednesday had with Eugene, which was very much like her relationship with Pugsley. From her relationship with Xavier and with the Hyde kid, whose name I never bothered to learn because he got on my nerves.
Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They were all opposites, and I thought that like Xavier was really good at giving Wednesday her truth. He was the
Yeah,
only one.
he was the only one.
He was the only one who always called her out and came with it. You know,
Yeah.
her and Gwendolyn Christie. Gwendolyn
Yeah.
Christie was a great scene partner.
Yeah,
I
she
loved
was.
every scene that they were in together. I thought that she definitely played more of a maternal role for Wednesday almost than her mother did, because she didn't have that familial history, but she had her own history with Morticia.
I like that she was Morticia's roommate.
I
You're gonna hear more of
love
that
the
in
fact that
season
she was
2.
Morticia's
They did a
roommate.
lot of good setting up in this series for future seasons.
And it left it open because then she said, "Oh, you did a great job as
And-
Julie
and
Andrews."
Tim
Come to
Burton
find out
said-
she was a shift shifter. And I was like, "Oh,
She was the
that's
shapeshifter.
really cool."
Yeah, the shapeshifter. Yep. And what made it really cool is like Tim Burton just came out today and said, "Hey, I wrote for season 2, 3, 4, and 4."
Yep.
Well,
Oh, he did? He came out today and said
Yeah,
that?
he said, I
season
wrote for
two's
It
already-
hasn't been renewed, but he
Hasn't been
said he's
renewed
got material for 2, 3, and 4.
It's gonna get renewed because it was the largest opening
It had
show for Netflix.
438 million hours of views. It's the highest English title that Netflix has had. It beat out Stranger Things.
Yep, Stranger Things
from the beginning. So that is a promising sign.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there have been murders going on at the school. Wednesday's determined to solve the events. Courtney, you talked about it a little bit earlier. So I'll go over to Rakai real quick. How did you feel about Wednesday being a detective? Because this is a detective series. How did you feel about that role in this series? And we've never had that really in the Addams Family franchise, at least to my recollection.
I think that the way that they came up with Wednesday being a detective was actually quite smart. Because it wasn't that she set out to be a detective. Rowan almost kills her, and then, in front of her face, Rowan is killed by the hide. So at this point, she has to, it's just that innate thing. She has to figure it out. Why was this little boy trying to kill me? And what the hell was that tried to kill him? Because the mystery was like, once she told the proper people, hey, Rowan just tried to kill me. Here's his body right here, and the whole scene is cleaned up. She's like, wait a minute, you making me look crazy. Now, okay, challenge accepted. You ain't gonna have me out here looking crazy as hell. Make it seem like I'm just out here making up shit. No, that little boy, I saw him die. Now you gonna tell me he done got on the bus and went home? That's some bullshit.
Yeah, she was on it. And that's
she was. And the fact that she had, was writing her novels, her detective series novels, which had been rejected. So I love what you said, Rakai, about she didn't want to do that. Like it was just like, oh, this is something for me to really focus on. I think she even completely forgot that she was even at Nevermore, because she was just trying to escape Nevermore. That was her whole plan. All she wanted, but she fell in love with it after she started investigating. Because she didn't leave because she was like, no, I need to know what happened, because now I'm curious. And I just
became obsessed with it.
Yes. And
it's hard not to. The guy that's trying to kill you says, I gotta kill you because my mom said it was a seer and she said this about you
25 years ago before she died.
Before you even born. Right.
And remember, even when she was writing her novel, she's like, I've got 2 years to beat Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. Even in that level, like, she's obsessive
2 years and 364 days.
Yeah, so she's even obsessive in beating like one of the greatest authors of all, one of the biggest franchises of all time.
Who wrote on a dare.
Yeah,
but
on a dare. Yeah,
just that, you know what I'm saying? Just like the conversation between her and her mother, you can look at everything Wednesday did was a competition. Like everything that she did, she was
about that smoke. She's about that life.
Yep. She was about that life.
Yeah,
oh no, sorry. I was gonna say, just in terms of like Nancy Drew, because I brought up Nancy Drew earlier, and I don't know if anybody else tried to watch the Nancy Drew series that they brought up. Say again?
I did and gave up very quickly.
I didn't even finish the pilot. Let me tell you why. Because I'm a diehard Nancy Drew fan. I read all the Nancy Drews up until she was in college, up until the super ultra mysteries between her and the Hardy Boys. I was diehard. And then in the very first 10 minutes, they opened that daggone show with Nancy Drew banging her boyfriend in a closet of a garage. And I was like, what? Oh,
That's
this is not for
weird.
me. This is
That's
not the Nancy
weird.
Drew I grew up with, and I don't have any desire to see where y'all
I
going with
even
it.
I even managed to work my way through both seasons of that god awful Hardy Boy show. But you're right, I couldn't even make it through the pilot of that Nancy Drew shit.
And so for me to see them take what they had hoped to do with Nancy Drew, and Tim Burton successfully did it with Wednesday within the context of a very well-known franchise that nobody ever expected it to be, this kind of murder mystery, supernatural, and weave in supernatural to it, that it made sense. I was so deeply invested, and he threw in a little bit of teenage love angst for a
Yes.
character who has no desire to have a boyfriend.
Yep.
And I was going to talk
That
about
was
that.
like my whole everything, because that was me as a
The
kid. I didn't
love
try to have a
language
boyfriend, but I
somebody
liked boys.
love.
I was going to say, who y'all rolling with, Team Tyler or Team
Well,
Xavier?
Xavier.
Tyler's
It's not
Tyler's
Xavier
important.
the
gone right
whole
now.
way.
He disappeared. His dad done took him and ran.
And in the chat, I guess Courtney, the Nancy Drew show is not that popular because Catherine or Mark neither knew that it was even a series. They're like, what? I didn't even know that was a series.
You didn't miss
Yep.
anything.
You didn't miss anything.
So, Courtney, did you guess who the killer was?
Okay, so this is another thing. I am notorious. Y'all know I'm notorious for guessing halfway through, like, who did it? Who is the bad guy? Who is the this, that, and the third? I did not guess. I guessed that I knew Tyler was the Hyde. I figured him out. But I had it narrowed down to the therapist and teacher Thornhill.
Mm-hmm.
But I really thought it was the therapist. I really thought it was the therapist. And so when it wasn't her, I was like, you kidding me. Like, it got me. So that's another reason why I gave it a full binge out, because I was devoted. I really thought that Christina Ricci's character was going to come back and be her Goody Adams. I really thought that Goody Adams was not dead and that she was going to be Goody Adams.
Okay. Chuck, what about you, bro? Did you guess the killer?
I guess Thornhill. Second episode, I was like, "This Thornhill. It's Thornhill." I thought she was the villain. Second episode, Thornhill. I just knew. After Roland grabbed her by the throat and was choking her, force choking her, I was like, "That's Thornhill." But I didn't guess Tyler. I knew it wasn't Xavier. Sometimes I went with I said when it was just two of them, I thought it might have been the therapist and Thornhill together, but yeah, that was it.
Okay. Rakai, what about you, bro? Did you guess who the killer was?
I guessed it was Thornhill, and then I changed my guess. I thought it was that goddamn therapist. I did. I was like, especially when she came in with the roses in the hospital.
I know.
I saw the same ones, or the orchids, or whatever them damn flowers.
Yeah, the roses, the same ones in the house.
Damn it, it's her.
Yeah, I thought that was a red hand.
I never once, when we found out later that it was a Hyde and that somebody was controlling a Hyde and it was two people, I was like, God damn it. I was like, shit. I was like,
yeah, well, I didn't think it was two people.
I binge watched it twice.
No, then I thought it was Tyler. I thought it was Tyler and the therapist. And just
he had those damn red boots on. That's one of the first shots they show of her.
First shots they show of her.
I didn't pay attention to it at that time. When I went back and binge watched it, it was like that was the first shot they showed.
I knew that was important. It was a special.
When they showed it, I was like, she's the villain. I said that in the room. Me and Randy sitting on the couch and said, she's the villain.
When they showed her red boots.
Yep.
I thought she was the villain.
Yeah.
And in the chat, Catherine said, I guess due to the red boots in the beginning and being way too nice, with the flowers and the creatures due to the same hair. So okay.
Yeah, I think I was nostalgic that I really wanted her to be Goody Adams because I really wanted her to come back for another season. So I just didn't think that it was.
She may come back.
They come back. I wanted her to be still connected with the Addams family since she played Wednesday. So I don't know. I just wanted to see Christine Ricci like be a cousin, or I don't know. I wanted to see her
bring back the original Wednesday character in Thornhill. And then, I think Christina Ricci had scheduling issues about shooting Yellow Jackets. So
because of this?
Well, I mean, she wasn't free shooting Yellow Jackets, so she may show up in a future.
I think she.
I don't think she's done. I think she'll be back.
Her, Tyler.
They left her character open.
Right.
Yeah. All of them.
Yeah.
They left the season wide open.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of them are coming back. Yeah, that's good. All right, guys. So we've talked about this enough. We're gonna
Well, we
re-rate.
didn't talk about Tyler, like in terms of Tyler and his dad.
We've been talking over an hour. But go ahead. Let's talk about Tyler and her dad.
But we didn't. We started at 8:30. We started
It's
at
almost an
8:30.
hour.
Yeah,
But
we gotta re-rate
anyways,
it.
we didn't talk about Tyler. Like in
Go
terms
ahead.
of like his relationship with his dad and like that whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I thought that Tyler gave a really good performance because I really thought that he didn't know that he was the Hyde. I really didn't
Yeah, I
think
thought he didn't know too.
I didn't
figured
think
it
he
might
knew.
have been him, but I thought he didn't know he was the Hyde. But when he came out as revealed as the Hyde, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, you knew.
Yeah,
He
when
knew.
he
And
in a police station, I said, "Oh shit!"
right. When he
Yeah.
came through and was like gave her his little like sinister like conversation and talk, I was
I thought that was so cold
That
and
was
so
cold-blooded.
dope.
like, it was
Cold-blooded.
cold-blooded.
Yeah,
Cold-blooded.
and he just did it in like you were
He
right.
was like, yeah, you're right.
No, but what made it cold blooded too was after he got through saying it to her, like whispering to her, whatever, saying it to her, and then his whole facial expression changed, like he shook. And I was like, God
Yeah.
damn.
And it,
Yeah. He said the first
he tells her
murders,
like
you
at
know,
first
were
I
hard.
couldn't
Yeah.
control it, but now I love it.
I
I'm
love it.
addicted
Mhm.
to it. I was just like, whoa. And he did it in
Right?
kind of cool, straightforward verse. And like
Yeah.
Rakai said, then after that, his face shifts. I was like, oh, that was dope.
But the thing is about a Hyde, like generally Jekyll and Hyde, Jekyll has no idea what Hyde is doing, but
Uh-huh.
he's just a Hyde. Like
just a
like
Hyde.
there's no,
Mhm.
it's like the Jekyll is almost like the facade of like the sociopath. So it's like there was no Jekyll element to it other than the fact that he seems unassuming.
Mhm.
No, like
Preacher's
I
kids
thought
and the
that
police kids, they always the ones that's messed up. That's the way it's been.
Police
since
kids and preacher
and the
kids.
preacher's kids, they
That's
always
true. That's
messed
true.
up.
That's true.
They don't
Wait.
respect authority.
Before we re-rate it, I want to ask one question. If we know that it's going to come back for season 2 or what have you, do we look for the same type of show in season 2? Like,
No.
will we accept or expect a kind of YA detective show again, or like, will they change the format of the show?
I don't think they will. Here's the reason why. They've already set up the next mystery.
Yeah, that
They set
somebody.
up the next mystery. Yeah.
I don't know if they even come back to Nevermore. Nevermore was closed. They ended the semester real
They
early.
ended the semester early, but they're still
Mhm.
coming back because he
Yeah.
even asked her, Xavier asked her, are you going to come back next year?
Yeah.
The
I think
question-
it's going to change. I think it's going to evolve. I think it's going to be like Lovecraft Country. Every episode is a different type of genre show. I think they may try to do something like
I hope
that.
it does change. Those were some of the only points.
Yeah.
And I hope they have a
overall,
bigger
the
budget
meta
so we can
story
make
is
them
what you're
Hyde
saying,
monsters
Courtney.
and werewolves look better, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think
What'd you
Courtney,
say,
I think
Jeff?
that's what you said it was going to be. Like the overarch, like the first season, it kind of closed it with the murder mystery, but I think it's going to have a long arc. If he has his writing team, which is like 8 people that are phenomenal writers, and they've already wrote these 4 seasons, they may have to put a meta story on it, and the meta story may be that mystery. But I think it's going to be a different genre every season.
Mm.
It's Tim Burton,
Mhm.
you know.
But we've never seen him have a series before, so that's really
That's
kind of
right.
exciting.
I mean, he's made all his movies are stylized, but
Mhm.
all of them are very different.
Yeah.
And that's why, yeah, I think he can make it stylized. That's why I want
Yeah.
more money for a budget, a bigger
Yeah,
budget.
yeah.
We
Can I-
can
can I
really
talk-
get to see Tim Burton be Tim Burton.
Can I bring up my favorite scene in the whole entire movie?
Yeah.
Her dancing.
That was brilliant.
Best scene in the show.
Best
Without
scene
a
in the
doubt.
show.
And
Hands down.
you know that she choreographed it
she
herself.
choreographed
She
it,
just
uh-huh.
came up with that shit, just like
Yeah.
went for
She
it.
did?
Yeah.
Yes.
And she watched Industrial Golf Kids and said, I made my
She
move.
created
I'm
it that
golf kids."
day of the
That
shoot.
day of the shoot.
Because she said she was studying cello and German because she didn't know it prior to the show. And she had been studying all of those. And then she was like, oh, damn, I got a dance scene. And she choreographed it that day.
The nerdy entrepreneurs laughed. The dance scene is like my favorite scene. And she killed it. Like
She killed it and got
killed it.
everybody else to dance in their own specific way. Nobody like laughed at her. Nobody like
No.
judged her. Everybody was like, oh yeah, and went out there and kind of like joined in and did their own thing.
I thought that's what really captured that character. She gave 0 F's about anything.
Everything,
She
everything.
didn't care. She
This is what I
swaggered
do.
out there and did
And
her
she did that.
thing.
She did a little slide move
Yep.
and shot the camera shot. I was like,
Right.
that's perfect. She was like,
Like
then she
it came
popped
off
up
so
behind him and
perfectly.
tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, that's hilarious.
Came off so perfectly. Like Nick Cannon was at home, pissed off. He's like, I did the same thing and love don't cost a thing. Like,
Right. And it didn't work.
It didn't work. Yep.
No, it didn't.
Right.
Not on that level.
And
not on that
even
level.
Bianca was like, yeah, she's killing it. She's killing
Yeah,
it.
they
Right.
showed all the actors watching it.
Right,
They were
like,
like, yo, Louis
she's killing
Guzman
it.
was like, yo, this may be the best scene in the whole entire series.
Because
Did
it,
he
it
say
was
that?
her. It was
Yeah.
her. It was her. And that's it. It's
Yeah.
like, whatever it was about that character, that's what we got.
That's what we expected.
Everything.
Yeah. TikTok this shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
The Wednesday challenge. Oh,
Oh,
we
man.
just started a new
All right.
challenge on Geek Beast. I mean, I'm BingeWorthy. The Wednesday challenge.
Wednesday
Yeah, you
challenge.
started.
We put
That
it out
means you
there.
got to do it.
Oh man, let me learn those moves. Cause that'd
I
be
don't think you
awesome.
need to learn the moves. I think you just need to be you. Like, it's the Wednesday challenge.
Oh, I
If
think
I
think
did the
that's
video,
it.
it'll go viral. But just
I think it'll go viral.
Uh,
I'm gonna
Man,
tweet.
it's
I'm gonna
hilarious.
tweet
you know, 'cause
it
we
and I'm gonna
always
put it on
try and do
Instagram.
something. We haven't done something since we made Trey get a.
It
when
was me and
did
Trey.
the,
It was
like,
me and Trey. We got a picture of ourselves. We lost
you
one.
had a picture
Oh,
of
we
yourself
never
like
got
you were
to do that.
posing because y'all
Courtney's
lost.
supposed to be tied up in Reynolds wrap.
Yeah, I
and she
haven't
can
done that
break
yet. I
out
have to
of
do that.
it. We had a
Yeah.
bet because it was Warrior, right? And Courtney was like, she could have broke out of that. Chuck was like, no, you can't break out of it. And it was like, all right, so I'm gonna tie you up. And we never got it. So we're still
Oh, we
waiting.
gotta still do that. We're gonna do that. We gotta do that.
We gotta do that one.
Gotta
I
do
forgot
that
about
one.
it because I
We
went
gonna
over
wrap
there.
Courtney up in some Reynolds wrap
And
see
he
if she
never
can break
did it.
out.
I know it. I'm gonna put you in some Reynolds wrap.
you ain't
You
breaking
understand
All right,
how
well,
hard
after
it
we
is
do
to
that
Reynolds
one,
wrap?
then we gotta do like the Wednesday challenge. Everybody
The
gotta come
Wednesday
up with that
challenge.
name.
You can bring that in
All
Reynolds.
right, guys. Now we've got to re-rate this thing. All right, because Rodney gonna be pinging me in like 2 seconds. Chuck, how you re-rating Wednesday?
After talking to y'all, I think I'm gonna raise it up to a full binge out.
Okay.
I really did love this show. I watched it 3 times.
How can you watch it 3 times and not see? This is where you lose me because both you and Chuck sat there together and watched it from 8 p.m. till 3 a.m. and you're gonna give it a full meal, but you all binged it. And you just
Yeah.
said, Randy, you watched it twice. And
Yeah,
Chuck, you
I
said
watched-
you watched it 3 times.
I watched it with my wife, and then I watched it with Chuck. And it was just some things that
Yeah.
I thought
It's
that
an
didn't give it
amazing
quite.
show.
It wasn't Ted Lasso, and like I try to think of
Yeah.
that, like.
But it's not on the same. It could never be Ted Lasso.
But what I'm saying is on the same level it made me feel. And that's the shows I try to reserve for a full binge out. It's like it's Michael Jordan, it's Kobe Bryant, it's those guys.
But in
It's
this
not-
genre,
it's not
genre
all
of
stars,
the
right? Like-
Sabrinas, I think you gotta do it by genre.
Sabrina's, Riverdale.
Sabrina's, Riverdale's, like the Nancy Drew, all those supernatural things. Like if it's its own.
Now,
Everybody-
I put the
everybody-
first season
That's
of
my
Riverdale
opinion.
on the same level as this. I
You think
love the
what?
first season of Riverdale. I love the first season of Gossip Girl. One Tree Hill, not so much.
All right, we gonna go down.
Okay.
We gonna go down the rabbit hole. I'm trying to. All right, Rakai, how are you gonna rate it?
I have to say, I've watched this twice myself too. I watched it on my own, like I said, but then my kids had missed episodes, so I went back and watched it with them. And I think after our discussion, the thing is, and I understand, like it's hard to rate things as a full binge out because they should be, that's rare air. And Randy, I did hear what you said. It was not a faux pas. I heard what you said.
What's that?
That full binge out, you know what I'm saying? When you talked about greatness, you said Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. I didn't hear no Isaiah Thomas in there. Yes, I heard you.
Oh, I didn't even hear
Oh,
that.
This full
I
binge
didn't
out
hear that.
fail. I just was.
You have been the ultimate Michael Jordan hater and have reminded me about your little Pistons every time I heard what you said. That was real. No, I see you little poster. I see you.
It ain't going nowhere, man.
But I think for that, I'm gonna give it a full binge.
Yay.
And I'm gonna join y'all discussion because it was such a positive and upbeat show. The things that I identified that needed improved, maybe we can get those in season 2. This conversation is fun, and just for the Wednesday challenge right here on the BingeWorthy podcast, it's gonna make me raise mine too. So
Mark gave it a full binge out too.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump it up to a full
Yeah.
binge out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a full binge out. It's a full binge out.
It's a
At first, I
full
was like, the
binge
visual
out.
effects aren't there, and I'm like, who cares? Who cares?
I didn't.
After
You
this
know, I didn't
It's
conversation,
get
I'm
it.
like,
not
who
even
cares?
important. That's
Right.
not even important. That's not even part of the story, really.
And even if there's some common tropes, they executed enough
They
on it.
executed perfectly. They nailed. They went beyond common tropes because they would have, if it was a common trope, they would have made Bianca the evil
bad
black
guy.
girl. Yeah,
And she wasn't. She
And
wasn't.
she
the bad
wasn't.
guy.
She was calm and cool. She didn't care about Wednesday. It was Wednesday attacking her. Like,
Right.
Mhm.
calm down,
Right.
little puppy dog. Calm down.
On top
Calm
of the
down, little
fact
puppy
that
dog.
it wasn't a show about one girl
Uh-huh.
carrying the show, and Jenna Ortega was fantastic.
She
Me and
was
Chuck
Kobe
talked about
Bryant.
she should get an Emmy nomination.
She should get an
she
Emmy
should get an
Honestly, she really should.
She
She
should get an Emmy
really
nomination.
should. I mean, even just learning the fact that, because I was wondering if she played cello, and I was wondering, and I pretty much
Learned.
assumed she probably like the German and the other
Mhm.
language. I figured she probably,
Mm.
learned it for the show. But I was the cello to find out that girl learned the cello for this and and slayed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think she should get a
And the dance
crushed it.
moves, get out of here. Yeah,
dance moves.
that's what you
All
want
of
to see.
it.
As
Just
an
the way
actor,
she used
taking,
her eyes,
Yeah,
and
Yes.
her facial
taking
features, the
initiative.
show thing. It was just like, wow,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
putting on a clinic here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She and it was nice because Tim Burton was like, I don't think Wednesday blinked. She was like, I'm not gonna let her blink me in.
And you know, what she
Yeah.
also said, she said she didn't talk to Christina Ricci about Wednesday either,
Wednesday.
because she wanted this character to live in its own universe outside what Christina Ricci did.
Yeah, because I feel like so many of the actors that are young right now, they're phoning in a lot because a lot's not being asked of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like, people are saying like that they're casting people who don't emote a lot, who don't like have an emotional reaction, who just are really soft spoken and don't ever raise their tone at all. And for her to be written into the character, like, she's the first actor of like the Gen Z, like, that I'm super excited about. I mean, I've seen her and everything. I know, like Chuck said, like, she's really good, but like this, she hands down deserves an Emmy nomination.
Nomination, hands
Oh.
down.
Oh, Rakai, you got anything to say before we head out, sir?
No, this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed this property, and I don't know. I think I've been fortunate. Every week I've been on, we've watched some great shows.
Uh-huh.
I know there's got to be a cringeworthy coming. I know it's
You got to join it. We got to find one for you, because those are the best conversations.
Well,
Those
what
are
we
the
got to
best.
do is get it to where the way it used to always work out. It was like two loved it and two hated. It wasn't planned, and it just erupted on the show.
Oh, we had a couple of all unisons, We seen like some bad wagoners. We were like, Ted Lasso, Jujutsu Kaisen,
Yasuke.
and those are great. Those are great shows.
And then you get Yasuke.
Yasuke. Oh yeah.
Yasuke, we all agree was.
It was
Y'all
so
still
bad,
talk
bad.
about voice acting with Yasuke. Lakeith
Yeah.
Stem, my guy,
Always
Lakeith
bring it
Stanfield,
back.
he can't get a break. He cannot
He's
get
the
a break.
moniker of bad voice acting.
He's the
He's the mascot for bad voice acting.
Y'all still talk about. I'm like, leave my guy alone, man. I like Lakeith.
You didn't even ask me, but I re-rated, and it's a full binge up.
We knew you were going.
Yeah.
How are you going to re-rate Wednesday, Courtney?
It's a full binge out. I'm gonna
Oh.
stay.
Now, with that being said, do you have anything to say before we head out, Mel?
Good luck and good night.
Chuck,
Or
what about
geek out
you?
and good night. Sorry, geek out and good night.
Got a good night. Chuck, what about you? Got anything to say before we head out?
Oh no, I don't have anything to say. It was a great conversation. I got pushed up because I was like, technical aspects of it. And I was like, what am I doing?
I was like, I'm gonna get him. I was like, I'm gonna get him. I see y'all full meals. I'm gonna get all three of y'all.
Yep. It's a
Right.
great show.
It's a great show. The Geekish Network, we are a network for people of color, content creators. We have people in front of the camera, behind the camera. We're creating content for people who look like you. So please support us. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitch. share this content with your friends and come out and support us. Want to give a shout out to Digital Click. They provide the overlays for us. They keep us looking good so we can perform at our best. And we want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys for
Yeah.
the
Thanks for
nerd
joining us.
Mark, Mark, we gotta get Mark on the show. Mark has been a loyal fan for a minute.
Yeah, we gotta get him on the show.
We gotta get Mark to come on as a guest appearance. We appreciate that, Catherine. We appreciate everybody. Shouts out again to Digital Click and their crew. So, guys, I don't know what we're watching next week. It's still up in debate, but I can guarantee you this: it is going to be interesting. So please tune in next week. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.